this video we're going to do some fiberglass repairs on the body of my Lotus Europa. I've already done some smaller repairs inside of the body just to make sure that I'm a bit more comfortable with working with fiberglass. I've done a small repair on the seat base and I filled some holes, which I'll also show you some footage of later. But in this video we're going to focus on the repair on the driver's side of this rear wing. This is now a gaping hole, but there was a panel in here which created some louvers. So this is just an aluminium panel which was screwed in from the back and then covered up with filler. On the lower part we have some accident damage. Now I've drawn out the crack, which is actually a really big tear in the bodywork, with some permanent markers so you can see how it goes. It starts here and goes all the way to the bottom, towards the front and towards the wheel well. Now this has been repaired, which you can see because the new fiberglass has a bit of a reddish color, but the repairs hasn't been done well, so it has been reinforced from the inside, but reinforcement isn't as good, and as you can see there's some original paint on here, so the fiberglass has just been laid on top of the wing and it isn't very much even. So we're going to redo this repair and then we're going to patch up this hole and hopefully it will look okay. Then we have a lot of fiberglass spider cracks and stress cracks on here along the entire wing, so you can see all around the hole. We're not going to treat these individually, but we're going to treat the entire body as a stress crack. So we're going to cover the body with 100 gram mat, which is about the same as 2 layers of tissue mat, which is about 40 gram. So we're going to start off by taking a look at the reinforcements on the inside. Then we're going to remove those which aren't okay anymore and redo them so that the panel has some rigidity to it. And then we're going to start off doing the cosmetic work and fixing the hole. So now we're in the engine bay of the car, and this is the inside of the wing. We can see the big hole where the louvers were, and then we can take a look at the reinforcements on the inside. So there's one patch here, then there's a smaller patch here, another one which goes to the bottom, and then there's a patch there, but it's all kind of loose and it hasn't been done very well. So we're going to try and remove the repair sections which are delaminating anyway, and then reinforcing it properly on the inside before we tackle the repair on the outside. So we're just going to try and tear it off and see how far we're getting. Otherwise I'm going to get the grinder out if it's necessary. So this is how well it was repaired. You can just pull it off by hand, which doesn't really boast well for the rest of the car. The fiberglass is dry here. It's all dry, and this part is resin rich, and it was just bonded to the inner layer of paint. Now here you can see the crack. So you've seen that we've removed the reinforcements from the inside. Now we're going to repair the reinforcements on the inside, but we're going to start up by patching this hole from the inside as well. But before we can do that, we're going to cut off the rest of the damage and of the parts with the filler on it. So this is the reinforcements that we removed, which you can see dry fiberglass, on some places air bubbles, a lot of resin, and obviously not bonding very well because it was bonded to the paint on the inside, which was just removed. So the section that we need to cut out on the top will be this, and then down and along this edge here. So we're just going to mark this with a permanent marker. I have a paint stick. So this is the section that we'll remove, so we're going to take either a Dremel or a jigsaw and cut this out. We'll just drill some holes to make it a bit easier with the jigsaw. Okay, now we're just going to clean up the edges a little bit, but the reason for doing this is because we want to start our repair on a good section of fiberglass. We're not going to do a repair on top of a repair on top of repair, because then we'll never get it right. So now we have a nice clean section to bond our new fiberglass into, and then the repair will be much better than if we're just going to botch on top of a botch. Okay, so now we have a nice fiberglass, a nice patch to make this happen. Next thing to do is to feather the edges on the inside and the outside. And we're going to clean up the inside of the wing where the old patch was, so that we can reinforce this from the inside properly. And then we can move on to the cosmetics on the outside. First thing, reinforcing it, patching the hole a bit from the inside to make sure that we have a canvas to work off of, and I'll tell you why in a minute. I've cut out a large hole around the original repair and damaged area. This way we're always going to bond on original fiberglass which hasn't been messed with, so that we have a good bond to strong material. You can also see I've marked around the repair area with a dotted line, and this is, I think, maybe 3 centimeters wide all around, and this is the section that we're going to bevel, so that we're going to have a good strong bond of our repair section onto the original fiberglass. Normally you should at least bevel to a ratio of 1 to 12, which means is if the original section is 1 millimeter thick, you have to make a bevel of at least 12 millimeters. This is, I think, 1.5 millimeters thick, this laminate, so we have plenty to spare. this will make the repair strong, and it will be a nice blend of repair section versus the original panel. I've also made a replacement section, a panel to put in to make a repair on top of. This is just a piece of plexiglass which will be mounted on the inside like this, and then we have something to put our repair on top of, and we have a section to work from to make this nice and straight. Now before I can do that, I obviously need to blend it, make the bevel on the front, and I'm going to clean up the inside so that this section can mount nice and flush to the back side. Now while we're on the inside, we're also going to clean up the inside where the repair needs to be done on the bottom section of the wing. So we're going to clean that up so that we can bond some fresh fiberglass to that. And we're also going to create a bevel on the inside of the repair so that we can put some fiberglass on the back of it as well, so that we have a nice sandwich with our new repair section with this hole. So I've beveled the edges all the way around. It's quite thin on this side, but this side as well. I've had to bevel the lower edge, so we're losing a little bit of the style line, but hopefully I'll be able to fix that. I'm going to show you the inside as well, where I had to clean it up. So I have cleaned up all along the crack. You can see how the crack runs. Goes lower, then a little bit towards the bottom, and then along the seam of the two halves where the wing joins. Then it stops, and then there's a new crack which goes in the fold of the seat back all the way there. So I've cleaned this all up and this up, and I've cleaned up the edges where we need to put in a repair section. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to completely clean this, and then clean it with acetone so it's completely clean, and then I'm going to put on some 300 gram fiberglass mat all along this section towards the bottom, and then this section I'll probably do 2 layers to make sure that the crack is reinforced from the inside. And then once that's dried, we can continue repairing the outside. So the resin has dried on the inside. I've completely reinforced this, so you can see there's all of the mat along this crack, and then it's been reinforced along the seam between the two halves of the body, and then the crack continued along here. This is also strengthened, and then it has been strengthened along the edge here. Now there are a couple of places that I want to reinforce it a bit more. One is along the back side of the mounting plate for the door latch, and then there's a small crack that's starting to go along this edge, so I want to reinforce this, and I would like to reinforce this bit a little bit more. So that's what we're going to do next. We're also going to mount the plate on the inside of the hole on the top, so that I can start to repair from the outside. I have the plate right here, and I'm going to try to mount it using double-sided tape. If that doesn't work, maybe I'll try some hot glue, but I don't think that will be strong enough. The plexiglass appears to be sticking. I'm not sure how secure it is, so I'm going to hurry up a little bit and put at least 1 or 2 coats of fiberglass on there, so that I have a base to build off from. So I'm going to mix my resin and lay the fiberglass down. layer of fiberglass has been curing, so it's still a bit tacky, it's not completely cured, but now I can put on at least 2 more layers before I'll completely let it cure, and then I'll have to add more layers to get the thickness built up, because it's actually quite a bit of a gap which needs to be filled. So I've put 6 layers of 300 gram chop strand mat down. Now it's time to clean it up for the first time, and then we're going to reapply some fiberglass, because you can see that on this side it's still a bit low. It's quite a bit low actually, and that's because our plastic that we taped to the back of the hole came loose a bit on this side. I think that we're almost flush on this side and on the bottom, and on the top, especially this corner, we need to put down some more fiberglass. But I'm going to take my DA sander and some 40 grit paper and just knock off the top, so that we have a better idea of what needs to be changed. So I'm just going to do that and I'll show you the result. So I still have my work cut out for me. I removed a bit of the excess, and I tried to get this style line to come out a bit better. I went through the laminate here because it was so far in and almost in the style line. On this side it's okay-ish, but it still needs to be filled a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reinforce this from the rear. I removed the plastic. Now I'm going to reinforce this from the rear, especially around the seams, and then hopefully I'm going to be able to put in another couple of layers of fiberglass on the outside to fill this in, and I might be able to get this out, but I think it will still need a layer of 4 or 5 before we can get this out, because I like to get it straight in fiberglass without using too much filler. So we're going to fill it with fiberglass and maybe stylize it a little bit, getting it straight and accentuating the body line with a bit of filler afterwards. But I'd like to get it straight in fiberglass. So I've added another couple of layers of fiberglass, so 300 grams per square meter. I've added another layers of fiberglass, and I've laid up one on the entirety, then some half sections, and then I build up this corner a bit more. So now we're going to let it dry and see what it gives us once it's dry. I think, as you can see, still see the line quite well, that I still need to build up a little bit here, maybe one piece of mat over the entire side, so that I can get all of the irregularities out. I've also reinforced the inside with one complete section to cover the hole, and then some strips along the edges to reinforce it. So we're going to let this dry, and then we can come back tomorrow and take a look at our repair section, probably sand it off again to see what still needs to be filled, but we're getting there. I think that we're pretty close. There are some low spots. There's one here on top and one on the bottom, and then there are some dry spots, and the line is pretty good. I nicked it accidentally while removing a high spot here, but all in all I think I could finish this with filler if I wanted to, but we're just going to put on another 1 or 2 layers of chop strand mat, and then we're going to go for a final sanding, but it's actually pretty close. You can see it's almost good. One low spot here, and then some small issues, but we're definitely finishing this with the next layup. Then in the meantime, I'm also going to fix this small hole here, which I can plug on 1 or 2 layers on the top and 1 or 2 layers on the bottom, on the inside of the wheel well, which is a little tear in the body. So we're going for the final layers, and then we're going to come back, sand it down again, and then we'll be ready. I've put the final layers of fiberglass on here. It's pretty flat as it is, but I need to grind it down to get rid of the high spots and to accentuate this body line again. It's very sturdy, so I'm just going to use my DA to grind it flat, using a sanding block to get the line back in. But then we'll be done with this repair, and we can continue down the panel to repair the crack. I've sanded the repair down, and now it's nice and flat. We have the body line nice and straight all the way through. So we'll leave this for now, and we're going to move down to the bottom section of this rear wing, where we need to redo the repair of the accident damage. So I use a permanent marker to sketch out what's going on here. This line is how the crack runs. I can see it through the fiberglass, and I can also see it from the back. So I've already cleaned up the inside of the body. So I removed the old repair and reinforced this entire section on the rear. So now I can remove this old repair. You can see that there's fiberglass on top of actual paint there. So we know that the body is too thick, and if you feel it, you can also feel that this entire section is raised. So we're going to grind this out, remove some of the filler that's still here, and then we're going to reapply fiberglass mat until we've built up the surface, and then we're going to grind it down the same as we did on the top. I've outlined the repair with a permanent marker on the outside in the good fiberglass. The reason that I do that is because once you're laying fiberglass on top of it, then you can see the lines of the marker through your repair, and you know that you have to grind down until you're on the actual marker, so you have a nice straight surface. Because if your marker is still covered in fiberglass, you know that the laminate is too thick. We also have a small repair on this side, and it runs into the inside of the door jamb. I have to clean this up a little bit, but we're probably also going to have to restore this because I don't think it's strong enough. So firstly, I'm going to use my DA sander just to get this shallow section out, so I have the paint uncovered. And then afterwards I'm going to use the grinder with the flap wheel to get into this repair laminate until I get to the crack, and then I can build it up again. We probably shouldn't go through the entire laminate because we have reinforced this from the inside. So once I've just removed the old repair, we can start building back up. I removed the old repair. In the end I ended up doing it all with my DA sander, which was slow and tedious, but it gave me good control. And what I found out is that on this entire section there was fiberglass, but the only crack is here, and the repair section went all the way to here, so I'm not quite sure why that was. What I rooted out is now with my marker is the crack. So I thought it would be completely connected, but it doesn't seem to be the case. This piece is not an entire crack, but it's a little bit rough. So now I'm going to bevel this with my angle grinder and a flap disc. So rooting out a little bit of the crack and reinforcing it. I can't really find the crack because it still is repaired a bit from the outside and it's reinforced from the inside. but of course the panel isn't completely straight anymore. So I'm just going to bevel it a little bit all around the crack so that I can fix it with a couple of layers of fiberglass, which shouldn't be as many as we had to fill in the hole above. So we've covered the crack with a layer or 3 of fiberglass mat. Now it's time to grind it all off and see if we have a nice and straight surface. I've also repaired 2 of the holes which were put in to mount a non-original badge. So I've put some fiberglass on that, and we'll see what it looks like once it's all ground off. Everything's nice and straight, as you can see. So everything's nice and straight, as you can see, but we have one low spot which I've marked with the marker, which I can check by using a ruler. This is all nice and straight. So we can check this using a ruler. This is all nice and straight, and once we go to this spot you can see that there's a bit of a low spot there, which we just will cover with 1 or 2 layers of fiberglass mat just locally, and then grind it out, and then this panel will be perfect. So we've removed the hole, fixed the crack, and filled in these small holes for the badge. So I'm going to make this the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. This is the first video in the complete series of the fiberglass repairs, and this video might be a little bit lengthy, but once we have all of the concepts explained in this video, we can quickly go through all of the other fiberglass repair videos, because I don't have to explain what I'm doing all the time. Now it's about a year ago since that I shot this video, and I'm still working on the fiberglass bodywork. So it's been a whole year of fiberglass work, so it's quite lengthy, but stay with me. I hope you will enjoy this. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you won't miss any of the upcoming videos, and I hope I see you next time. Goodbye.